the motivation.
And welcome to another episode of Another Unnecessary List. Episode 2. I am one of your hosts. My name is Anthony K from the Touring Fan Live and from another million shows that are on this platform. To my left or my right, I'm not sure which direction I'm going in, is Brian Methe, talented artist, makes amazing artwork. He's got a lot of opinions. Most people agree with him, and if you don't, well, fuck you. And that's where we're at right now. So we literally just got on this call. As you can tell, I am in a very broken down version of my studio as we've been dealing with foundation issues here at my brand new house in Missouri.
Congratulations, Anthony.
Thanks. Yeah, I literally did a show last week, Brian. The first show I did in the new studio, and I found out that the people that we paid to fix our foundation originally didn't do it correctly, and we had to pay to have it done again. So I had to break down everything. Yes.
Awful. That's, sorry about that. That's homeowners blues, man.
Ain't that the damn truth? And I've learned that in Missouri, foundation is a constant issue in this world, so it is what it is.
Is it because of the dirt, or is the dirt not?
Yeah, supposedly the soil here is so soft, it's like a clay that your house settles at some point, and it takes like 20 to 25 years, and then the house starts settling a certain way, and if it's not properly taken care of, let me see if I can show you. Let me see if we can go to the side. As you can see, all those cracks that have been filled and those posts, all of that's been done. We have about 5 of those that we've had to do in the last couple of days. So I'm just throwing away money like Jay-Z throws money away at strip clubs. Is like I
gotta
like to say.
Love it.
But enough about me and my wrongdoings. It's been a while since we've talked. How's things going over by you?
I can't complain. My oldest child graduated high school.
Wow.
We went and checked out her college that she'll be going to, Kent State University up north in Ohio, and really exciting. She's really excited. I think it's a really great fit for her. So a lot of changes going on, but doing well.
Man, I thought my kids were growing up. I remember talking to you for the first time, 12, maybe even longer than that. It was 2009, I think.
Yeah.
And God, that's a long. That was a baby back then. Now it's an adult.
It's a long. Yeah, it's been quite a while. So
God,
it goes fast. So enjoy it while you got it.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about.
Let's
talk
do
about
this.
what we're here for. So
yes,
last time we broke down a list. This time we're breaking down another list. It is that time of the year when, and I think it's already happened. The Rock and Roll Hall of Fame is induction. Or has it happened, or is it about to happen?
It is about to happen. They had the nominees, and then from the nominees they break it into the inductees. So yeah, that'll happen. I believe it'll be done within the next couple of weeks. Oh no, actually, hang on. Sorry, they're actually doing it later this year. They're doing it in November, and it's being done in Los Angeles, which is usually not where it's done. It usually happens in New York, and then they do it every 3 or 4 years. They actually do it in Cleveland. So this will be in LA. So this will be a little bit different than what they're used to.
Interesting. And I'm not a big fan of LA. Just too much traffic.
I've never been, and I don't think I ever want to be. So
Yeah. No, not for me.
Not my scene.
I kind of like it a little slower. But before we really get into our lists and all this stuff, let's go to what the 2022 induction list is, and we're going to talk about that real quick, and then we're going to rip that apart or praise it. I don't know what your opinions are yet. We haven't broke this down. And then we're going to give our top 5 bands that should be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, our top 5 bands of why the hell are they in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and then kind of just talk about what we think about the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame altogether, because I think that's going to be an interesting. Either we're going to agree on this completely, or we're going to be far off. And because my opinion about the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame has really been controversial for years. So this could be an interesting one.
I would like to hear. Yeah, I think it is a controversial body in and of itself. And yeah, I'm interested to hear what you have to say because yeah, I think there's a lot of things.
Yeah, you ready? All right, so let's bring this list up. Here it is. We have Pat Benatar, Duran Duran, Eminem, how do you say that word, Brian?
The Eurythmics.
Thank you. Dolly
You're
Parton, who
welcome.
didn't even want to be there. Lionel Richie,
Correct.
Carly Simon, Harry Belafonte, Elizabeth Cotton, and Cottonen.
Yes, it's category. Which this year you've got Pat Benatar, Duran Duran, Eminem, Eurythmics, Dolly Parton, Lionel Richie, Carly Simon. So then they've kind of taken this other award, which used to be called like the Sidemen Award. So they would induct people that weren't like the leader of the band. The E Street Band got in as sidemen. They're in with Bruce Springsteen, but they're also in by themselves as the Sidemen Award. Well, that kind of changed last year, and it became this really esoteric musical excellence award. That is where we get Judas Priest this year. Judas Priest got in, not as performers, but under the musical excellence category. That's also how LL Cool J got in last year. Was not in as a performer, got in under this weird musical excellence thing. So I kind of wonder what kind of brought along that change. Why, if they're trying to do it to diversify, to get people in, maybe that wouldn't get in after a while. You know, LL Cool J, super influential. From time, but you've got Beastie Boys from that time are in. Run DMC is already in. I mean, maybe LL Cool J gets thrown along the wayside. Through this little tweak here, they can get him in. Judas Priest, they're a fine band, Rock and Roll Hall of Fame worthy. I'm not certain. Not in my Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Correct.
But also the Musical Excellence Award, Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis. I mean, they produced like Janet Jackson, they were hit makers for 20 years. So, I mean, you totally see that. And, you could see how they would get in under that like kind of sideman category. So, I think there's a lot of politicking going on with the whole process and things like that. And you're right. I think that they just kind of have done some other things to maybe they're trying to open it up to other people or open it up to other genres more. I think simply calling it the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame is just, I think it encompasses more. It doesn't have to just be rock and roll, but I think that it definitely does kind of pigeonhole it by calling it rock and roll. And that's all marketing. It's in Cleveland, the guy that created the term rock and roll from Cleveland, all that stuff. So there's definitely a lot that goes into it. But so let's talk about the actual inductees this year.
Sure.
So what are your thoughts? What are your thoughts on, first thoughts on the list? You've given us those. So let's just talk specifically about the performers.
Yeah.
No disrespect to the Harry Belafonte early influence or the Ahmet Ertegun, which is, Jimmy Iovine and those people. Sure, we're talking music, we're talking performers. Give me your take on the performers.
So I think Pat Benatar. I think at that. I'm surprised when I saw this list. I thought she would have been in by now. Honestly, I mean, Pat Benatar has put a lot of hits out. She's been and that's someone that if you talk to a lot of musicians, they say, "Hey, Pat Benatar was an influence of mine." Even as much as I don't like American Idol, you'll hear a lot of these kids say that Pat Benatar is an influence to them as to why they are into music nowadays. So she's been around a long time. So Pat Benatar, I'm all on board on that. What about you?
So initially, my thought was, I do have to say, I am glad that this is a very female heavy induction, which I always think that's another thing that they're trying to catch up on. They just don't induct enough women. So I think that this is a year where they're trying to kind of right that ship. I was like, Pat Benatar, Heartbreaker and all that stuff. But hit me with your best shot. 35 million albums sold.
Wow.
I mean, 8 straight platinum records,
Holy.
four Grammy Awards. I mean, I was like, man, it's kind of hard to, argue with that.
She hit you with her best shot.
She did, man. That's impressive. And she is still out there touring. And I think that's one of those intangible things that people don't tend to think about, especially when you get like bands, they have multiple members, people pass away, they get old, they get sick, she's still out on the road. She's still doing it. She's touring. You've got Duran Duran still touring. Dolly Parton's touring. Carly Simon is touring. I think that's a big deal that people are still out there and they're still playing. So I think that's a positive thing. So I initially was a little like Pat Benatar. I came around on it.
Yeah.
I think she deserves to be there.
I agree with you. Duran Duran's next on the list. I'm not a huge Duran Duran fan. Can't say that I've ever been like, hey, I need the new Duran Duran album, or I was ever.
All you need is the greatest, which is the greatest hits record. That's the one.
Yeah.
Key. Yeah.
And with them, they made quite a few classics, and they were catchy as all can be. And you know what? There's not many weddings you go to where, especially in our age range, where the music hits, you get those older 40s, late 30s, 40s, 50s moms come on the dance floor, they hit that song, and they're ready, they're dancing, they got it.
Yes.
This is their song. This is my jam. So,
yeah.
This is, I respect it. There's going to be artists that go in that I might not like, but I understand why, and this is clearly one of them. Not a fan. Don't own a Duran Duran t-shirt.
So being a little older than you, I am a closet Duran Duran fan. I loved Duran Duran back in the day. They were pretty awesome. But one of those bands that I'm like, I don't see a lot. I don't see a lot of that influence going forward, except maybe like a band like the Killers or something like that. That's the band that I think of, like, if you were going to say a 90s 2000s band that's like Duran Duran, the Killers certainly comes to mind. But then, yeah, just, Girls on Film, Hungry Like the Wolf, Rio, all those, they've got Grammys, they've sold 100 million records. Wow. They're still, out there touring.
The hungry for that money.
I think the quality of the output has certainly not been what it was back in the day, but that's understandable. So as much as there were, and I'll also say, as much as there were other acts that were on, that were nominated that could have gotten in, that I would have rather had in that place. I don't have too much of an issue with Duran. Although if it had been Devo, I would have been happier.
It's interesting because I think there's a lot of bands from the 80s that are like Duran Duran that they're touring their greatest hits, right? Like they're going to put what was that? Def Leppard just put a new album out, right? And I would say 90% of people that are going to a Def Leppard concert want to hear the greatest hits. They don't want to hear the new music. They're going to go to the bathroom for the new music.
Yeah.
And I think Duran Duran fits that category. They were artists that fit a niche at that time, and they just haven't been able to find a way to create new music that continues to captivate people. I'm not knocking
I completely agree.
Body of work was back then, because I think they were able to really captivate that. Just nowadays, it just doesn't resonate. I think bands after the 90s really started finding ways to continue to build on themselves, and those are the bands that are still around now. And there's some bands that are still living off the hits. I mean, Third Eye Blind and bands like that.
Don't even get me started on Third Eye Blind.
They're going to be in next year's Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. You didn't know that?
No, that will never and ever happen. I will not. No. Stefan Jenkins is my mortal enemy.
Oh man, well that's for another show. I can't wait to hear about this one. All right, next on the list is interesting. Is Eminem. I am going to be very honest with you. I just don't get him. Never have. Never will. I've tried. And I've had a song I'd like, but after hearing it 2 or 3 times, I'm over it. Does nothing for me. My son likes him a little bit. Good for him. I don't mind it. I have nothing against him. Just not for me. I understand that he's influenced a lot of people. A lot more than Duran Duran influenced people, and a lot more than Pat Benatar influenced. Eminem definitely is an influential artist that's paved the way for many artists in that field. And he's definitely opened the doors for many artists coming out of Detroit. just not my cup of tea. Respect him going in. I guess I still have that hard thing. It's Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, not Music Hall of Fame. But I get it. I understand. I respect it.
I just thinking, "Lose Yourself" is one of the greatest songs of the 2000s. I I'm also not like a diehard Eminem guy. I rap for me is more before that time, or even like Outcasts and stuff like that. I wasn't into I wasn't into like. I mean, it was. I liked the fun stuff, like I'm the Slim Shady and all that stuff. I don't need the stuff where your mom's in the trunk of the car.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, Lose Yourself. Whenever I hear like those opening chords to Lose Yourself, I get chills. I still do to this day. It's his best song ever, and he's. And I hate to be the guy that goes to the stats, but 220 million records sold. He's got Grammys. He's got an Oscar. He's got he's got all the criteria to be a first ballot Hall of Famer. So I have no, like it's like I agree with you. Not my, I'm not going to be like, hey, I'm going to go put on the the Marshall Mathers LP or whatever like that. But I credit where credit is due, and he is, had a great performance last year at the induction with LL Cool J, and I'm sure he will bring the house down at what will probably be a rather milquetoast Rock and Roll Hall of Fame induction this year. I don't know where you put Eminem in between like Dolly Parton and Carly Simon. So it's without making the show kind of tilt on its axis. So
I feel like he closes it.
Oh, I don't think there's a doubt about that, but yeah.
I think
it'll just be a swift turn into something different.
It goes to like, I bet you the final four go like Duran Duran, Judas Priest, Pat Benatar, Eminem. I bet you that's how it goes.
I wouldn't be surprised. I think or some combination of that group.
Yeah, I think that's how it closes. I think that's the top four. Next is the Eurythmics. I don't know many people that say like, "Hey, the Eurythmics."
Here's another '80s band for you.
Yeah, this is another band that just like Duran Duran had hits. Then I bet you're gonna come. You bet you the stats will say that they did a lot, and I get that.
Yeah.
But for the life of me, I can't think of an artist that went up to this, that went up somewhere, got an award on MTV Music Awards or Grammy or anything. That was like, if it wasn't for the Eurythmics, I would be here right now. I don't see that.
I agree. I think this is also one of those acts that you're kind of like, it was a British pop duo. I see, with great vocal talent in Annie Lennox, and Dave Stewart wrote some good songs together. I say Annie Lennox is in by herself without the Eurythmics. I don't think she needs to be in as part of the Eurythmics. I don't think the Eurythmics were that influential. I think Annie Lennox as a female artist was far more influential than simply this band. It's so stats, 75 million records sold. They've got Grammys, Brit Awards. They're both in the Songwriters Hall of Fame.
Wow.
As of 2020, which is great. But and I think they write good songs. But yeah, I think that Annie Lennox is certainly the face and voice of this band, and far overshadows the Eurythmics themselves. I think Annie Lennox is more of a huge star in her own right, and should be by herself, and probably will be at some point. But the Eurythmics themselves, Sweet Dreams. Other than that, it's really kind of hard to, they're not a band where you name off a list of hits.
No.
They may have had hits, but Sweet Dreams is what you remember.
And a funny statistic about Sweet Dreams: the song was actually hit platinum. I forgot what this is because I'm in chaos in my basement right now in my studio. There was once Manson put his version of the song out, her song became popular again. So there was more money revenue generated from sales of her single that got reproduced that year because of Manson. So that, you know, it's always
Mhm.
interesting when things like that happen. I would say that I do prefer the Eurythmics over Manson, in my opinion.
Oh, absolutely, no question.
So next
That's even with
on,
all the horrible stuff we heard about Marilyn Manson. So
yeah, wow,
yeah,
I don't. That's a whole nother conversation. Jesus,
yes, that's
jeez,
another story.
that's a whole nother pile of shit. Now listen,
On
Dolly
to
Parton.
Dolly Parton.
I'm going to keep it short and simple. She didn't want to be in it. You respect the woman's wishes. I ignore it.
I say Dolly is Dolly and cannot be denied. So put her in whether she wants to be in or not.
Yeah, I mean, listen, let's be realistic. She has not only has she produced so many hits in her genre of music, she has wrote songs for
Yeah.
people that created careers. I mean, if you want to talk about an artist on this list that created careers, she created, legitimately made Whitney
Yeah.
Houston one of the top selling artists of all time because of that song from The Bodyguard. And she
Yeah,
realistic.
her talent in every way, shape, and form cannot be denied.
Oh
She's a
God,
songwriter, she's a performer, she's a marketer, she does it all, and
yeah,
you know, she cannot be denied. And it'll be a I think, I hope she performs because I think it'll be fantastic. I mean, even every time you see her perform, it's just something awesome. So
yeah.
it'll be awesome.
I just want to put this out
Lionel,
there. I
go
just
ahead.
want to put this out there. My dream for this is that Jack White shows up and plays
Jack White,
guitar,
Jolene.
Jolene with Dolly Parton.
I think that would be great. I think it'd be really awesome if he inducted her, but I don't know if that. See, and that's the other thing. So the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame does kind of like the people that induct them, that induct people. I don't know if it's picked by the artist or whatever,
It
but
is. It's
obviously those are
100
like,
picked by the artist.
yeah.
100% picked by the artist.
So those are like, and they're also like Rock Hall faves. So Eddie inducted, the Ramones and the Who and all that stuff. So yeah, they're definitely. It gives you like an inside track on whether or not you're going to get in at some point in time. But I think that
Makes sense.
there's no argument that Jack White and the White Stripes will
First
one
ballot.
day be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame when we're old and gray. Yeah.
Oh, stop with the old and gray. We're going to be young at heart and look good for the rest of our lives.
I
All
hope
right.
so.
The next
The
on the list.
So let's talk about somebody who doesn't look young and doesn't look so great is Lionel Richie.
That man creeps me out. Like, legitimately creeps me. I would not let my kids around that man. Something about him
If he
feels
doesn't,
alien.
if they don't make him perform Hello at the end, if he performs, I mean, he's got to do that song. And then they've got to put that bust that the blind lady made of him in the video out there on the stage, because that's just, it should be like, they should have a giant one made out of like paper mache or something. Because
who in the hell the right mind when they were making that video were like, listen, Lionel, I got this amazing idea.
yeah,
I want you to picture this.
yeah,
Close your eyes. Blind woman, in love with you, touching your face, makes this exact replica of your face in clay, and you guys
exactly.
are in love.
Yeah. And then Lionel was like, yes, that is it.
Yeah.
That is absolutely it. You've
so dumb.
touched on, yeah, we can say, Lionel, yes, sold a lot of records, Dancing on the Ceiling, all that crap.
I don't think he belongs. I don't think he belongs in.
It's not it's not. There were other people on the list that I would have rather seen inducted besides Lionel. Which brings us to Carly Simon.
Yeah.
And I'm like I said before, happy to see more women in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. That's a positive thing. Carly Simon sold records and things like that, but to me, she's just not. You're So Vain and what other songs she did with James Taylor. I mean, I don't see the output that I think is necessary to be in.
And I agree with you on that one. I feel like, once again, there's artists out there that have definitely done things that are great. Carly Simon is, and I know that people have said, "Hey, you have influenced me." I don't know if they've ever started a career because of Carly Simon, but hey, I've even said, I don't know if you've said, "Hey, kind of sounds like Carly Simon a little bit." That kind of got like a Carly Simon sound. Like I've said that before, and I think she's more worthy than some of the other people on this list. But I also do believe there's other people that deserve to be on this list as well. But that brings me to the point like I was trying to say before that like I think you can't almost like over produce one year and then not produce the next year, like because then you have to kind of even it out because then if you have a really bad year, then it's
and that's where we get
this
stuff
year.
like this. It's kind of like a makeup year, and it's not fun. It's not exciting. It's not making you excited for this induction ceremony. This is the one
No.
that you'll watch a couple of acts. You'll watch a couple acts on the HBO thing, and then you're done, and you're looking to next year. And that to me doesn't get people excited about the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame as a body when it's kind of like Carly Simon.
Yeah. Well,
But
especially
congratulations.
Last year you had just think about the difference this year and last year. Last year you had Tina Turner, the Go-Go's, Jay-Z, Foo Fighters, and you had LL Cool J. And then in 2020, which I think was the best one in a while, if I remember correctly, that's the one that had Nine Inch Nails. I'm looking up the list right now. Nine Inch Nails, that had Depeche Mode, T-Rex, Notorious B.I.G., Nine Inch Nails, and the Doobie Brothers, and Whitney Houston. I mean that's a show that's a show you pay for. That's what you sit through.
That was a big and that's so I think that's an excellent point because I think you look at those last 2 years of classes and then you look at this one and you're just kind of like just kind of you're just kind of like who's up you're like who's coming up in 2023.
Because let's get to the next one. Like Harry Belafonte, do you know him?
Okay, so I don't want to. This is your show, and you run it quite well. I say we skip Harry Belafonte.
Thank you. We're gonna pass.
And Elizabeth, they're in for the early influence award. I don't have any. It's earlier than we are, so sure. I don't argue with that.
Yeah,
let's go to let's talk about Jimmy Jam, Terry Lewis, and Judas Priest.
I'm just gonna say this: when that child was born, and that mother said, "What are you gonna name? What we're gonna name his kid?" And that dad looked at her and looked right in the eye and said, "Honey, that's Jimmy Jam right there." I'm telling you right now, that kid was destined to be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I don't know what he did. I don't know nothing about this guy. You're probably going to tell me things and be like, oh, I should know this. But for heaven's sake, that name is Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, 100%. Jimmy Jam.
Can't argue with that. That man was destined for greatness.
100%.
Absolutely. And I mean, everybody associates them with Janet Jackson, obviously, but they worked with like TLC and all of the big, R&B names. They worked with them all. They produced them all, and I don't think there's any argument that they're one of those acts that you're kind of like, it took them this long to get in.
Interesting. Okay.
Like you would assume they were already in, but
they're in now.
I don't know. Yes, they are now.
Now goes to the one I've been waiting to talk about all night.
Oh, Judas. Good, because I have nothing. I have nothing on Judas Priest, so I want to hear everything you have to say.
Here is my Judas Priest rant. I don't get it. I don't think I've ever heard a song I like by them. I feel as though like every time I've seen the people that go to those shows, just people I don't hang out with. For the hardcore.
Yeah,
fans.
it's not.
I'm not trying to knock them. Not my cup of tea. It's not my Pearl Jam people.
Yeah.
I'm just listen. I don't get their music. I'm joking about the thing, but for real, like I don't get their music. I don't understand breaking the law. It almost seems like they were trying to be a commercial rock band in the 80s, but over glamour. Like they didn't want to over glamorify like Motley Crue. They didn't want to be completely rock and roll and be off the grid. So they kind of met this middle ground of being commercially successful in what they were and making really trashy songs that just did nothing for me. Listen, I know people like Judas Priest. What band that is out there right now says, I am here today because of Judas Priest?
I think you're right. And I completely agree with you. I do give props for, I can't remember the lead singer's name, but his work with the LGBT community and being an out gay man in a heavy metal band. That's a huge deal, I think. But yeah, I don't. I back in the 80s, I listened to metal like every other kid did, and Judas Priest just wasn't my thing. I was more like Guns N' Roses or Bon Jovi, more of the I would say kind of like the cleaner, not the Guns N' Roses is clean, but the radio stuff, and not like what was on classic rock. So I never really got the whole Judas Priest thing. I think Sabbath is probably. I think there are more bands out there that are like, man, Black Sabbath was really the band, the hard band that did it for me. Judas Priest is
Well, let
not
me ask.
that,
Let,
not
let me
Sabbath.
ask you this: if you were to say, if I was to ask you a question, do you think more bands were influenced by Ozzy Osbourne or Judas Priest? What would you say?
Oh, Ozzy, easy. You've
And
got Ozzy with Sabbath. You've got Ozzy with Randy Rhoads. You've got, no, Ozzy, and no question.
Yet
And that's
he's not in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. He is with Black Sabbath, but as an artist, he's
but
not
not as a solo artist. And
correct.
yeah, so I agree. I totally agree with you 100%. I don't understand Judas Priest at all.
Do we the next three on the list? I don't know anything about them.
Okay, skip all those people because that's just industry,
Boom.
insiders.
All
So
right.
let's go to top 5. So we're looking at top 5 who should be in, and top 5 why are they in.
Correct.
Okay. So
I'm sure that you already
have a list. I'm playing from behind, so I want to hear your list of why are they in while I come up with my list of why are they in.
Okay. So my not top
off.
5, and I have an explanation because some of these artists are surprising, I guess. Number 5, Chicago. Chicago had some good hits, right? But really, like, that's an influential band. I don't think there's people that say, like, Chicago, besides Nicky, what's it called, Little Nicky, that Chicago rocks. Like, realistically, Chicago's not making new music that's influential. They only had they had like 2 or 3 good hits. I wasn't a big fan. Mm-hmm. Chicago should not be in, my opinion. Number 4. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I'm going to have to write yours down because I might piggyback a little bit. Okay.
So Chicago, number 5.
Number 4.
Number 4 is Eminem. I already gave my explanation about it.
Okay.
I just
already.
Get him out. You're in.
Okay.
You're out. That's it. It's like one of those things.
You're in for
the door.
Gone.
You're in this. Just walk right out.
Go in the indoor and out the outdoor.
Number 3, ELO. I love ELO, but they are not rock and roll worthy. Like, I mean, yeah, they influenced a few people, but there's nothing that I don't find. They have a couple of good songs. They don't have great albums, in my opinion. Not a big ELO fan. Mm-hmm. They are not Rock and Roll Hall of Fame worthy. I love Fleetwood Mac, but Stevie Nicks by herself is not worthy to be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And last but not least, the most overrated person in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. A person that has literally influenced nobody. The person that people listen to, but nobody has done anything but maybe made a cover band of this artist. And that is Bon Jovi. Bon Jovi does not belong in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. It is not my life. It's not his life. It is not the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame's life.
Oh, you practiced that one.
I literally just made that up.
Okay. Then that's some excellent radio banter. Okay, so let's see. So I'm scrolling down, and I'm back. I'm in 99, and there's people on here that nobody's jumping out to me as like super offensive. Let's see here. I can't disagree with you on Chicago. Chicago, and when they went in, I was like, this is another one of those slow makeup years.
Yep.
And I know that there was like the 70s Chicago, and then there was the 80s Chicago, and I grew up with the 80s Chicago, which was Peter Cetera and all that stuff. Very yacht rock. I know that's a very trendy term, but I think that they're like a super yacht rocky band, and just not who should be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I totally agree with you there. Let's see here. I don't know. We're getting really.
Should I go to my top 5 that should be in it?
I could talk about that kind of stuff all day. So yes, go to your top 5 of who you think should be in.
All right. Number 5, 19 years eligible. never nominated. Black Flag, a band that pushed the limits, whether you like them or not,
yes.
in the 80s, was very influential in creating American hardcore punk at that time. Pushed the limits, went through many different variations of the band, all producing albums that were very, very controversial, heavy, but always changed the tides of music in that genre at that time. Black Flag, 19 years, never even nominated. Big mistake they should be in.
Agreed. I think that there's not enough respect amongst the rock hall people for heavier forms of music, specifically like hardcore.
Yeah.
You know, whether you're a fan of hardcore or not, you can't deny that it's part of, you know, it's part of the, you know, it's part of music.
Yeah.
It's certainly one of the only parts of music that is very independent, you know, still very independent, even with all of the studio stuff and record labels and things like that. I mean, without how many countless bands have said that Black Flag was an influence on them? Probably hundreds.
Yeah.
Yeah, a ton of bands. And there are lots of bands that you could see nowadays, or even, you know, especially in the 90s, you're like, those bands wouldn't have existed if they didn't have Black Flag to listen to.
Correct.
And that, to me, and that's something that I wish was more apparent in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, in the people that get in, is those influences. You know, it's when you have tons of artists that are super, you know, successful and talented, and they're like, man, I wouldn't have picked up a guitar if it wasn't for Frank Black, or or I wouldn't have done this if it wasn't for so and so. That is a huge deal, because it would have deprived us of so much great music.
Yeah, I agree with you. Number 4 on my list, 13 years eligible, never nominated. The Flaming Lips.
Okay, I'll listen.
You Shimmy Battles.
My Flaming Lips.
The Robot.
Yes. Pink Robot's great.
Phenomenal. His ability to consistently push the envelope and create new music, and to generate other artists to follow in his pathway, the ways that he is able to consistently produce album after album. There's no way that you can tell me that there's artists that have gone in with less of a resume than Wayne Cohen in the Flaming Lips. 100% should be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
My issues with the Flaming Lips are more personal, but I don't argue any of the information that you've provided, any of the evidence that you have provided to back your claim. You know, they're still out, they're still doing it. They've had great records, and they've made it through. I mean, the late 80s, 90s, 2000s. I mean, and changing, you know, while still being the Flaming Lips, but constantly evolving.
Yep.
And never stopping evolving. They've never just like sat on their shtick.
Yeah.
On their shtick, on the Flaming Lips thing. I mean, they keep changing. They do keep evolving. And yeah, I think that's a solid choice.
Thank you. Number 3, 5 years eligible, 4 years nominated, 4 years overlooked, Rage Against the Machine. A band.
Yes, that's on my list. Yes.
A band that, how the hell they weren't a first-year ballot. A band that was needed at so many times in this world, and they consistently produce music. Battle of Los Angeles is probably one of the most near-perfect albums of our time, yet you want to overlook them for Duran Duran and Judas Priest?
I cannot agree with you more. They are on my top 5 of who should be in. I think that this is again the backlash to kind of like hardcore heavy music, and yeah, I think it's, you know, and there aren't a lot of bands that are still, or bands or artists that are still considered dangerous. Rage Against the Machine is a dangerous band. You do not know what you're getting from them night to night. You know, even when they're getting ready to go out on this stadium tour right now, they're going to play with Run the Jewels. They're going to play with people. That's a concert where you're like, I don't know what's going to happen. And there's something very rock and roll about that. That's the you know, center for me of rock and roll, is just that it could be It could be the greatest show you've ever seen. It could be a riot, and you have no
Yeah.
idea. But that's what they bring to the table. Besides the fact that the songs are insane, insanely good, insanely written, innovative. They also influenced an entire generation of
100%.
Limp Bizkits and all of those bands that we can't stand. Um, yeah, undeniable.
And I mean, the thing is, they were naturally that way. A lot of bands try to mirror
Yes,
that by forcing it,
yeah,
and it never works. That's why Rage Against the Machine will always be their own unique, culturalized band.
exactly. They're
No, number
fantastic.
2, 17 years eligible, 0 years nominated. In Excess. How is In Excess not in there? But
Ooh,
Duran Duran is. In Excess
that's an that's an
over Duran
excellent
Duran.
parallel. There's an excellent parallel and an
Thank
excellent
you.
point because I think that they are. I think those are really kind of not like they copied off each other, but those are kind of carbon copy acts from the same time frame, doing similar type of music, and yeah, I think In Excess was the dangerous band. They were the
Yeah,
more dangerous. Duran Duran was the safe band. They're doing
I
the
felt like
songs. They're doing it. Go
I
ahead.
feel like Duran Duran was more like your mom's band, and NXS was like
Yeah.
the cool dad's band. Like that was if
Oh
your dad
yeah.
was driving the Camaro with the T tops, and like that was in NXS. I'm sorry, NXS was the Camaro with the T tops. Your dad, like cigarette in the mouth, beer in the hand, driving down the road.
Yeah. Well,
Like
Devil
Duran,
Inside, and that. I
that's
mean,
oh yeah,
yeah.
damn. How many times? I mean, that song comes
I heard
on.
that song the other day. Heard it the
Oh,
other day, and I'm singing in the car.
pump
It's a great
my
song.
blood. Damn, I'm gonna listen to that in a little bit.
Yeah.
But
Oh,
Duran
forget
Duran,
about it.
like
Yeah.
that's your mom, like getting ready to go out with the girls, like, hey girls, hungry like the wolf, that kind of thing. Like that's what they're
Yeah.
doing in
Yeah.
like the Miata, like that's just them.
Mm-hmm.
That's the difference. That's my opinion. And number 1, how many years eligible? Because I had it written down. I put it up until I forgot. 11 years eligible, only 1 year nominated, and it is absolutely ridiculous that Soundgarden is not in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Exactly. Yes. And
I don't get.
I think that goes to the stigma against heavy music. It took forever for Sabbath to get in. It took forever for, I mean, not even a band that I would say a huge fan of, but I think if you're going to talk heavy music and this is one of my bands is Slayer. I mean,
Yes, sir.
I don't like that kind of music, but they've been around forever. They
Yep.
keep cranking it out, and how many bands? And you got Metallica in, and not like you're gonna respect Metallica, but not Slayer. I mean, come on, they're not a band that I would go see, but people love them, and they've influenced a ton of bands.
And in my personal opinion, and I've said this on the show before, and I'll continue to say it, I think in my lifetime of artists that came around my lifetime, Chris Cornell's voice was the most perfect rock and roll voice of my generation's time. Previous to that, you can go with Led Zeppelin, do whatever you want to do. But from when I was born in '85 going on,
Oh,
Chris Cornell was the most perfect voice that was coming out at that time, in my opinion.
I think that in Soundgarden, and we're all friends here. It's we all love music from Seattle and from that time period. You know, and every band had their own thing, and Soundgarden was just so different. They
Yeah.
were so heavy. They were so melodic. They could be punk, but they could be like Sabbath and so they had all this wide range, but it was all cemented in Cornell's voice. And
Yeah.
as much as we love Eddie's voice and as much as we love Cobain's voice, and Lane, I mean, all of those fantastic voices, his was just head and shoulders above everyone else. And
100%.
I don't think you'd find a lot of people that would argue that. I
Yeah.
think everybody's like bow down to Cornell because man,
Correct.
he just had the pipes. Um, I also have so my list is not in any particular order, but yes,
Okay.
Rage Against the Machine and Soundgarden are on that list. Um, I've got band that was nominated this year that did not get in again, Devo. I think
Huh?
Devo, Akron, Ohio. did they sell a lot of records? No. Did they influence a lot of bands? Absolutely, yes. Especially afterwards, uh, the Mark Mothersbaugh produced, tons of records. He does film scores. Devo is an influential band that should be in there. Also on the list this year, Beck. I don't know if I'd necessarily put Beck in on like a first ballot over Soundgarden or Rage Against the Machine. But I think that Beck will probably be in there at some point in time.
100% agree on that one.
Yeah, I also on the list that didn't get in, Tribe Called Quest. I know that we've had the talk about, the talk about rap and hip hop and rock and stuff like that. But, I think Tribe Called Quest is one of those groups that, really separated themselves from the pack, and, New York group, but they sounded completely different. I mean, you still hear songs of theirs nowadays, and you're just like, this isn't like anything I've heard before. Also, hugely influential. But it's, it's a little sad for me when it comes down to a year like this, where you're like, oh, it's just kind of a bummer. We also look at, so there's a great website called Future Rock Legends, which will list like, these are the people that made it in this year, and these are the people that made it in last year. They also have a list of, artists that are currently eligible for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And so you can look at those and see, like, well, as of 2020, Weezer eligible. Whether or not you think, Weezer, I'm a big, first 2-3 records of Weezer, post, Green Album, I kind of hit the downslide. But, so you've got Weezer, you've got Wilco. I'm a huge Wilco fan. I think Wilco should be a first ballot, no question, right in the door.
Man, that makes me feel old.
Yeah, it does. But then you got bands like Oasis and Korn and things like that. So I mean, there's a lot. This kind of gives you an idea of like
how old we are.
How old we are, yeah. But how many amazing acts just from our like generation that aren't even close to getting in. I mean, yeah, Rage has been up since 2018, and as far as I'm concerned, Tool was eligible as of 2018. So yeah, there's a lot of people that deserve to be in there that are not in there. I think that Alanis Morissette probably deserves to be in there.
I didn't even think that's someone. How is she not in?
Exactly. Yeah, 2017, never even been nominated. But yeah, why isn't Alice in Chains 2016 never been nominated? So it definitely. I'm not a I'm kind of hot and cold on the Smashing Pumpkins. I wouldn't be.
Yeah, it doesn't affect me. It doesn't affect me at all.
Yeah, it's not my but that, like Sarah McLachlan 2015, Lilith Fair. There's a lot of great acts that are out there that are deserving to be in there, and it's gonna take a while for them to get caught up.
Yeah. It is interesting,
but I don't. Yeah, no. Black Flag. I mean, even like Minor Threat. I mean, Black Flag, Minor Threat, bands. Yeah, bands like that. That I think that you are absolutely correct. There's a huge disrespect amongst the punk and the hardcore stuff. I mean, they'll let in the Ramones after a million years, or Green Day. But where are the Black Flags and the Black Flags and the Minor Threats, the Circle Jerks and the stuff like that. So
yeah, it is crazy. Talking about Green Day, you're the first person I'm going to tell this to, which I'm really excited about. So my daughter has picked up like wanting to be a musician. She's taking music class. She's in a music camp right now, and on Friday she's going to perform Green Day on stage.
Awesome. What are they doing? Multiple songs? A medley?
I think. Let me deep dig in. I think it's "When I Come Around" is what she's performing, and then she's going to do Tom Petty's "Free Falling," and then Elton John's "Crocodile Rock."
Oh, I love all three of those songs. I became a late in life Elton John fan.
Me too.
Yeah. So, yeah. That's exciting. Are you starting to get nervous for that or excited?
Dude, let me explain something. She wanted to buy band shirts the other day. She wants Vans. She wants to dress the part. I've waited my entire life for this moment. I feel as though I won the lottery. I'm loving it.
I've got to tell you that. So how old is your daughter now?
She is 6.
Oh my gosh! Wow. So she's ahead of the curve. That's great. You've
Yes.
got several years of Hot Topic in
Oh yeah.
in
Oh
your
yeah.
future.
And then
Oh yeah.
we let's see. She wanted to go see Wolf Alice, so we got tickets to see Wolf Alice
Oh
in
cool.
September. Yes, we got front row
Uh-huh.
seats for Wolf Alice. I'm taking her to go see Fits in the Tantrum next week. A buddy of mine
Yeah.
got us tickets for that.
Cool.
I was tempted, but I don't think I'm going to do it. It's tomorrow. Like, here's the thing, and Brian, and this is crazy. So I live literally within 15 minutes of like 30 music arenas, and like there's
Ooh,
something going on every night. Oh, it's hard.
that's a tough place to be.
It is. It is, dude. Like, like I mean, like I don't hate Slipknot. I appreciate the theatrics to the band, right? Like
I
I
have a couple
appreciate.
of there are a couple of Slipknot songs
Yeah,
that I have on my playlist, and I
yeah.
dig them. I don't
They're,
listen to everything, but
so they're playing tomorrow for like $10 a ticket on the grass, and I'm like,
I mean,
do I?
$10.
I'm like, do I do my show with Trey tomorrow night? Take Charlotte to go see Slipknot up the road, and then come home. I don't know. I haven't told my wife yet about this, but I'm thinking about it.
Yeah, Slipknot. Hey, honey, we're gonna go see Slipknot. That's cool. That's cool. Yeah, my daughter, she just turned 18 in March, and it took me a while to get her like into like the prototypical grunge, like teenage grunge kid, but she found it all on her own. And I was like, so wait, you're wearing docks and like docks and denim shorts and tights. I was like, that's cool. And
Yeah.
so they find their way. They get to where they're supposed to be.
Yeah. So like I'm
Getting
not
their flannel shirts and stuff. So
I'm not supposed to know this, but I overheard this when I was in the bathroom this morning, getting ready for work. Like Charlotte's like, Friday I'm gonna wear my Pearl Jam shirt to surprise Dad, and I was like, you know what? I'm like, I felt it. I was like, fucking. I was like, oh, finally got the
my
kid, superstar in
daughter,
soccer.
she stole one of mine too. Yeah, she stole one of
Oh,
my. I'm like, what? Where'd that shirt go? And yeah, it's made its way into her wardrobe. So I'm happy about that. We're going to
yeah.
try so before college, I think we're going to try and hit a couple shows, but we're definitely going to go see Wilco is playing
Nice.
in Kentucky. So we're going to go see Wilco, and that'll be our last show for a while before she heads off to college. So, but she's going to Kent State near Cleveland. So I think we'll be hitting some Cleveland shows.
It's awesome.
Pick her up, go up, see some stuff. Yeah.
That's right. Man, I can't believe she's 18. God, it's time really flies.
Yeah, it's kind of nutty, but taking it one day at a time, man. One day at a time.
Well, before we end the show, Brian, do you have anything coming up or anything new that we should all know about?
So I did recently release a new poster, which is kind of I do this kind of series that I've done with the Beastie Boys. So it's like bands that aren't, bands that are gone, never coming back. So I've drawn them as kind of skeletonized. So I did a Beastie Boys print a while ago, and I just did a Nirvana print, which is based on their original Rolling Stone album cover, which is on the website at bmetty.com. But yeah, just summer shows and stuff like that. I think I'm going to be doing a print for the Wilco show in Kentucky in August. So, just a little bit of stuff here and there, but enjoying my time. So yeah, if you've got a moment, check out bmetty.com or my Facebook or Instagram, all that good stuff. And I appreciate it.
Yeah, definitely. And if this is the first time listening to the show, we have one other episode previous to this one you can listen to. You can just find on our YouTube channel for Touring Fan Live. It's on the playlist for another unnecessary list. It's like a tongue twister. Another unnecessary list. You just search there. Episode 2. This will be posted there. If you have a podcast you like to listen to us on the road, you don't have to look at our faces. Just look it up online. Just search Touring Fan. All the shows are on there from everything that we do here at the Touring Fan Live. So definitely check that out. We'll be back again next month, Brian, I suppose. We'll have to come up with another list to tear apart. Yeah, we need to start tearing apart list. My studio better be back in its damn face. Like I literally, dude. Hold on, let me see if I can I'm literally.
I hope so.
Like it's bad. It is bad. It is so bad.
Well,
sucks.
I'm sorry about that, Anthony. I hope that you get it. It gets under control.
Sooner or later. It will be.
Yes.
And then, so we'll do that coming up. And then, if tomorrow night we'll be doing Let's Talk Vinyl with Trey Bush, drinking a bottle of wine, talking about another Pearl Jam song. On Wednesday, we're going to be talking with the guys over at Live on 4 Legs and livefootsteps.org about the first leg of the Pearl Jam tour, breaking down stats, facts, and getting ready for you for the European tour. And we have another announcement coming up this week about another new show starting soon. That's going to focus on kind of some of the tougher subjects in the world, mental health, and having more of that side and talking to musicians that have dealt with it and how they overcame it to show the humanization of things and how we can overcome things and hopefully what they went through that can maybe help you heal in that way. So that'll be coming up soon. So take a look at that. And also through the 10th of this month, we're selling a t-shirt online. It's a new Touring Fan Live t-shirt, and it has a flag carrying the word art in it, and it represents two different things. One, we always believe in the artist, and whether it's a musician, the artist like Brian, and we always want to push for them and always support them because they are doing this and they need to make money, and we believe in what they're doing and the creativity, and we love supporting them. And also, we are all about community, and recently we lost Art Weinberger to cancer, and we're utilizing this money to go to a foundation to give for a scholarship to give to a second chance. So more information on our website, or you can go to our shop and look right there, and there's our new t-shirt and more information on that, how you can buy a t-shirt. Pre-orders through the 10th of this month. Until next time, Brian, I'm Anthony. That's Brian. Let me hit the new crazy tune we just got.
This is the motivation.
Hit that little fun graphic. Thanks for tuning in. Until next time.